Welcome my friends. This is Mrs. Inglesby from Draper 2. We will be starting a new class today, and as you can see, it's an octopus. It's an ocean animal. I actually got inspired by one of your assignments, the one that your teachers gave, and I figured that I would try to have some fun and do something with you guys. So I color it with color pencils at home. If you have them, you're welcome to use color pencils to color them. Also, if you don't have any color pencils, we can do it in black and white, like I have it just with the black marker. If you don't have anything that you can use at home besides the black marker, that's okay. If you just have pencil, you can leave it at pencil, because that's what I'll be using. So I'm gonna start with a blank new piece of paper, and I'm gonna use a pencil and an eraser. That's what I'm going to be using to draw this octopus together. So he is going to be underwater like we saw it. So we're gonna see it like this. It's gonna be underwater. This is kind of still of our part of our ocean, and here's kind of where he is at down in the sand. So we're gonna draw it together, and we're gonna start with a pencil. Remember, if I go too fast, you can always stop it, rewind it, and try it again, or you can pause it until you catch up. So the first that we see is gonna be his head, and if you pay attention to his head in this case, his head is, the whole octopus is in the center of your picture, and his head is starting just a little above. So I'm gonna start with my octopus, and it's gonna be a two curvy lines here, and it's gonna create this line over here. And one of the things that I'm doing is I'm keeping my pencil not too hard. I mean, hard enough for you guys to see it, but not too hard so I can still delete it, because I'm making these curvy lines. Then we have an eye right here of your octopus that comes in. We don't get to see the front because the octopus is looking this way. Get an eye. And his other eye, it's kind of in a diagonal way. So that kind of helps me place where his other eye is, and it's about here. And I'm making a circle and another circle within it, and another circle which I'm gonna paint mostly color, but it's gonna have some little white to give it some life. The next thing that we're gonna work on is on those tentacles. Those tentacles I'm gonna make them light, and I'm not gonna worry which one goes in front of it at this moment. I'm just gonna start drawing, and my first one goes here from the middle of his head. I'm gonna put a curvy line, and my first one is gonna come up, and it's gonna go up, and it's gonna follow the line, and it's coming back up to about that part of his. So I have that curvy line. Very light on my pencil. I am not pressing because I will be erasing a few things. So very light. The next one is coming right here from the middle, and it's gonna go forward, and it's gonna go in the front part of this one. Now you see why I told you to leave with your pencil light, because I'm gonna, right now they're all crossing and on top of it, and it's going, and it's curving right here, and it goes right there. I got two. The third one is coming here from the eye, and it's gonna go forward, and it's gonna continue forward, and then it's going to come back with a curvy line, and I'm gonna follow it. If you need to, you can cross it for now, until we decide which one goes forward and which one goes backwards. The next thing that we have is that he has another one coming from here, from his eye. And this one goes. And we see a curve here at the front. And it does this curve. And it comes, the inside part I'm gonna go. And I'm just going crossing over at this point, I'm not worried. And it stops right there. The reason why, if you look at the tail of your fish and it has some kind of fins, so this one has its fin right here to help connect those tentacles. So this one is going under. And actually this tentacle, half of it is coming from underneath. So it's gonna go right here, and it's gonna connect right there. And you can go over for now until we have them, which one goes forward. The next tentacle that we have is this one that is coming out from the end of his head and is turning. So right here I'm doing, it's like a half circle, and it's gonna, you can go over if you want to, if it makes it easier. I'm jumping it, and it's going like this. And it's coming back, and it stops right about there. So if this one is not quite, why is doing that? Because it has another one that comes out here, and it does this. It curves and it does that. So what is it coming? This one is gonna come back. And it comes back to about, comes back all the way. And then we have another one that comes in here. It curves. And it's gonna go down. And it's gonna fit right in there. And if it's too thick, I can start it in here. I'm adjusting it where it's starting. And then we have another one that is gonna come in between these two. And it's gonna come and it's gonna go back. So now if we count how many we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tentacles, which is what our octopus has. So now that I have my tentacles kind of placed, the next thing we want to see is that in the bottom of their tentacles, our octopus have like a little suction cups, and they're a little round or oval. So that's the next scene that we're going to draw depending on how our tentacles are moving. So our first tentacle that we work with this one, and it's coming from underneath and it's kind of curved. So this one is going to have our big tentacles closer to our octopus, and they are just little ovals. And if you pay attention now, I'm starting to follow those curves that I made. And I continue doing. And I'm following. And there's my suction cups, and they keep getting smaller as they curve. So that's my first one. Since that is my first, now I can say, okay, this is my other part of my tentacle. And what I'm doing now is darkening. I'm darkening the rest of it, so I can see one tentacle. My other one, it's like this one, the first one that we start, and the tentacles are at the bottom. They're actually on the sand, so we don't get to see the whole circle. We almost get to see just like little halves there. This is what are doing at the bottom. So get to see until about there, and I don't get to see it. The next one I'm gonna see is this one. Get to see part of it. So this one, it's in front. So it's gonna go in front. And I get to see some of those half, not the whole thing. I get to see half of that sucking little cups that go. And then once they curve right there, I don't get to see them until it start continuing over here. And this one, now I'm curving my octopus. And this one is going in front. And then I have the suction cups that I'm seeing next to it. I'm following my line there. And I probably see up right there. So since I know that this one is gonna be in front now, I can darken my curve, which means that this one, where it's crossing right there, the other one goes underneath. And so is this one. This part goes under. So I'm deleting so I know which one it's in front and which goes in the back. And now I'm darkening my lines as I go, because now I'm giving it form. There's my octopus. Now I'm gonna do this one over here, and they're suction cups. I'm making a little circle inside, an oval. And this one goes behind, the little one goes in front. So because this one is in front, I'm going to curve it front. And then I'm gonna start doing my suction cups, following my circle, and I'll keep going. And you'll see that you'll get to a point that you don't get to see them anymore. And I'll continue right there. Now this one that I started is gonna go in the back, so let me delete that part. Go back and I'll continue. From this, I get to see on this one those suction cups, I'm seeing them. And then this one will curve. And since it's going back a bit, I don't see it until here. It's kind of what I get. Next, I'm gonna go and see this one over here. The shape that it goes, I only get to see the suction cups, kind of like this one. I'm just going to see very little of it, because they are probably on the sand at this point. So since I know that that's true, I go with my line next to it. And then this is gonna go behind. And so I'll stop right there and I'll show my little suction cups going. And that's all I get to see. And my curve that I had before, now I'm just getting it darker because I know that it's going, now this one is gonna go in the front. So I'm just getting darker, and I'm gonna delete the light pencil inside. So that curves right there and shows me where it is. So now I'm gonna finish. Oh, I kind of flattened my curve a little bit over here. Let's do a nice curvy line. There you go. So we have our nice curvy line for our octopus. The next thing that we have is over this one. This one over here also has sucking cups that we're gonna start seeing where they go. So our sucking cups start right here, and they are bigger, remember, as the closer they are to the head, and then they're gonna get smaller. And I have a little dark in the middle. They're gonna get smaller as they get to the outside of the tentacle. And since these tentacles can move in every direction, really, sometimes they look kind of twisted depending. So we're doing, it's going like that. Then we have this one, same thing, starting to see, we're gonna start to see our suction cups, and we do circles for them, remember? Big circles. And I keep going with them, and I follow that curve that I have. I keep following my curve, and they keep getting smaller as I go. And this one is gonna go in front, so I keep going with my octopus, and I get to see him till about there, and then from here I just see the suction cups, and that's all I get to see. So now I'm gonna do my line, that this one I know is gonna go in the front, so now I can darken it. And I stop right there because it's gonna go behind, and it's gonna finish right there. So now I get my eraser and I delete those lines inside. That does the curve for my octopus. Now we're gonna go here to this big one over here. Now this one started all the way over here, so his suction cups are all the way over here. And we keep drawing them. And he is, until I don't see him, and then they continue here, and they're getting smaller. So it's in the line of 2. So making them not so roundish, a little flatter as I go. And I keep going until the end, and they keep getting smaller. So now we're done with, I think, most of our sucking things on our tentacles. The next thing that we have to do is our octopus has some, let me get this darker for you guys. It has some textures in his body, and we can create these textures with lines. Lines are important actually, because we can create textures and showing that a mass is curving and it's round instead of flat, and we're gonna work on that together. I'm just darkening my lines here, that way you guys can see the octopus. Okay, so usually in the bottom part of the octopus, there's the suction cups. On the other side, it's kind of smooth to a point, very smooth. But in between and right here, they usually have a light color. So that's what I'm gonna do next. So you're gonna see me doing like this line right here. I'm gonna continue, and I'm not necessarily gonna go all the way, and very light. And then I'm gonna start making my curve lines. See those curve lines, how it tells me and it shows me that that tentacle, how it's curving. Those lines help. And the direction by where those curves go, it also tells me which way it's curving. So that's my first one. The next one, I have another over here, and see we have already this line that is going in there. So I'm gonna start, and I'm trying not to match exactly the other ones because they're not the same tentacle. And it starts curving. See how I do my little thing into the curve? There you go. On this one, the smooth part, I'm gonna create this little line, and then I'm gonna start doing my curves. and I'm stopping into that line to leave some smooth part to it. But that helps show me where that goes. Same I'm gonna do here. I'm gonna do like a little line, not very dark, very light, and maybe it's even broken. That way it doesn't assume that it's a total line. And then I create my curvy lines. Same thing on this one, because this will be that line. Our curved lines really go all the way. Since this is kind of thick, I'm breaking them up. So even though I could go do the whole one, I'm breaking them to suggest that it's wider than the rest. As it gets thinner, I can do one line, just the part that it was thick, to create that bigness. It shows that it's wider. Same thing here. I have this line very lightly, and then I start with my lines of how my octopus is curving. Same thing here. I'm gonna create this line over here, and it's very light and it's close to those but doesn't touch them. And then I'll start with my lines, and they're very light. They're not hard lines with my pencil compared to the outside of my octopus, because I'm trying to suggest a curvature in its tentacles. I'm not drawing something new in it. Same thing here. You can create a little light line if it helps, and then you start making those curvy lines of your octopus. To create exactly those things. Now he has the same thing in the head. So from the center of the cranium here, I'm creating some lines to give that impression of curvature while I am not coloring it. And here I know that the tentacles are coming. I'm not making the straight lines because it's an animal, has straight. So I'm making these lines to go to suggest that that's where it goes. So I'm just suggesting a lot of it in here. If you take attention, if you pay attention, our octopus is completed. We didn't take that long to complete an octopus. The next thing I did, it was suggested it was at the bottom of the ocean. So I started probably around here, made a line, and I made a line right there. And even though he is at the bottom of the ocean, this part will be blue. And I have some sand, right, that he is walking through on the bottom of my ocean. So I'm suggesting with those lines that if you want to do some algae, like I did in one of them, it's algae or some vegetation in the ocean. I added this. And there I can add a small one if I wanted to over here because it's farther away, so I make it smaller. You know, I can do that. And my first one, I suggested bubbles. You could make a few if you wanted to. If you're coloring, just be careful when you color them because in some of them I did over it. So this is our finished drawing and pencil. Now I'm gonna show you something that it's important. If you're gonna do it in black and white and you have a marker, I'm gonna suggest kind of the same thing that I've done with pencil. So while a definition, I'm getting a black marker with the definition of the eye here. It's a part of the body of the animal. So what am I doing? I'm actually drawing it kind of dark with a thicker line. Now these are suggestions of a curvature. Even with my marker, I'm gonna go and guess what? It's gonna be even like a broken line. And very light, while the outside of my tentacle here, it has the thick black solid line, and I'm gonna show you just how this one I'm going and I'm creating this one just for you to see. And this is the suggestion line here that it might go. Same thing here, but this line right here is part of them, so I'm making it thicker, darker to suggest something, and this is just line. Now as I erase my pencil lines here so we can see our drawing with the ink, you'll get to see that my suggestion lines for the drawing are light. Also, they're not solid, but above everything else, if you can see, they're even broken. They're not solid lines. The solid lines, it helps you show the difference between a suggestion line and that. So even the lines on the head, I'm gonna go ahead and have them very, 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 very light, as you can see. I did not go, so when I delete this part and the eye that I did, then you start seeing the difference between a suggestion line. Like the head is not a suggestion line, so let's do the head with the marker, and I'm tracing it now that I drew it, and I'm making it probably a little thicker than the other ones. I'm going double on it because it's a part of the animal now. It's not a suggestion for something, and that's how you create suggestions in certain things versus actual parts. Your line can be very expressive. In this case, I'm doing it again over here, and then I'm gonna go very light, suggesting the curvature of my octopus. Well, this one, it actually shows me the sections of the cups. I didn't do the whole, I didn't do all the tentacle, but just this part to suggest a difference in lines. So this, my thin lines versus my thick lines. This one right here will be a thick line, the one that is coming from the head, because it's a tentacle. And then this is my suggestive line. And this is my suggested line for the curvature of the tentacle. Now my section comes, same thing. I'm not doing them broken lines. Here is my suction cups in as I start going, and I'll delete the pencil so you can really see. And that's how I start finishing my drawings. So this is all, my friends. I hope that you have enjoyed this one, and I would love to see all your drawings. Email them to me. I really sing wonderful things. Keep practicing. This is a great time to practice and get your skills really good. I hope you guys have a fun week, and I'm looking forward to seeing your octopuses.